Well, it's that time again. Everyone's bickering on who wins MVP. Is it Blake Shelton's long-lost twin or babyface Drake Maye? While everyone's arguing, what if I told you, yes, I know exactly who is going to be holding the trophy on Honors Day? Be prepared to be shocked, disappointed, or be jubilant and elated depending on whose side you're on. But before we begin the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with anyone who might like this type of content. Let's get into it. So, here's a comparison of Stafford and Maye based on stats. Okay, Drake Maye seems much better. However, raw stats alone doesn't decide who the MVP is. So I've come up with a grading system to determine which QB deserves the award. This comes in several parts, and disclaimer, it's not perfect, not 100% perfect, but I think it gives a good idea on how to measure the value of each quarterback. So first up, 24 points for individual performance. How good is the quarterback rating? Of course, raw stats, while important, can't tell us anything. We need advanced metrics too. Next is strength of schedule. This will be around 8 points. This matters because who did they play? Is it a cupcake schedule, or did they genuinely face some tough competition? Next, what about the team around them? We're looking at the most valuable player, not the best. Was it a carry job? How is the team's defense? How does the rush attack fare without them? The more stacked the team is, the less points they score, as it takes away from each quarterback's individual value. Okay, now it factor. This is only 4 points. This is basically just the eye test. Not really that much. I mean, I will take factors such as how clutch are they, how flashy, are they a good escape artist, all that jazz. Finally, record. Yeah, that's just 4 points. The total score is 45 points. Alright, let's begin. To start, statistics. When talking about Maye's case for MVP, people love to bring advanced stats like EPA, DVOA, and ANY. Maye leads the league in EPA and ANY/A, but that doesn't tell the full story. First, look at the stats I brought up earlier, but this time I combined rushing yards, quarterback rating, and touchdown and interception percentage. Stafford is ahead of Maye in advanced statistics categories like intended air yards and complete air yards, though Maye is ahead in complete air yards per completion and pass after catch per completion. His drop and bad throw percentage is lower, though in some categories Matthew Stafford is not too far behind. Upon further evaluation, taking all of these statistics into account, it is really close. Stafford wins. He'll get 19.5 as he has the most passing yards, most passing touchdowns, and leads the league in touchdown percentage, and even first downs. Maye, though, is still incredible, so he will get 18 points. Maybe he should get higher, but anyway, next up, strength of schedule. This one is only 8 in total. This is something that needs to be factored in MVP conversations, and thankfully is, and I think most of you can understand why. First, we will look at the total record of the teams faced for each team's schedule. Stafford has faced a tough schedule. I mean, the NFC West is stacked, to say the least. The total record for teams faced for the Rams is 152 to 137. Of the 17 games Stafford played, 7 were against playoff teams and 8 were against teams with a winning record. Of the 7 playoff teams, of the 7 games against playoff teams, Stafford's record is 4-3 and 5-3 against winning teams. Okay, what about Drake Maye? Let's see. He only played 4 games against playoff teams and 3 against winning teams. His record against those teams is 2-2 and 1-2 respectively. So I'm going to do something a bit different and cross-check strength of schedules with the past 10 MVPs teams. By doing this, we can compare and see whether the argument of strength of schedule holds. Looking at the strength of schedule of all the MVPs had to face, only 5 out of 10 had a top 10 toughest schedule. However, with that being said, 4 of those have been from the last 4 seasons. There is a trend. Looking at the Rams, they're not in the top 10, but boy, New England is all the way at bottom 3. They've had a really easy schedule. Yeah, Matthew Stafford takes the case. I mean, his schedule is not a gauntlet. He gets 6 points, but Maye just gets 2. So, how about the team around them? This is important. How good is the team around them? The better the team, the less points. This is the MVP test, meaning most valuable. First things first is point differential. It's a good indicator of overall team performance. The Pats and Rams are around the same, though the Rams lead by 2 points. And for reference, I took the past 10 point differentials of the teams with MVP winners. Almost all MVPs, well actually all MVPs aside from 2021 Rodgers, had a top 4 point differential and scored 140 points or more in 8 out of 10 cases. Every single MVP's team won at least 11 games and lost at most 5. Let's also look at defense. Of course, I mapped out where each team ranks in yards given up, points, and takeaway from the past 10 teams with an MVP winner. Aside from Cam and Lamar Jackson's MVP seasons, you don't get anything exceptional on terms of defense. Sure, Brady's defense in 2017 didn't give up a lot of points, and Josh Allen's in 2024 had his defense get a ton of takeaways, but most sway in the middle of the pack. Some closer to the top 10, some closer to the bottom 10. So, how did the Rams and Patriots do? The Rams defense ranked 17th in total yards given up in a game. Patriots rank 8th. The Rams defense is 5th in takeaways, while the Patriots rank 20th. The Rams are 10th in points given up a game, while the Patriots rank 4th. The Rams are more reliable on their offense than the Patriots this season. While the Rams get more takeaways, the Patriots defense is able to get less points and less yards given up per game. Now let's take a look at the rushing game. I measured this by taking each MVP's team ranking in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in their respective season. I also took away all the MVP's rushing yards and touchdowns they had in their MVP season and adjusted the rankings accordingly. On the rushing game, the stats taking out the QB's rushing yards in most cases doesn't look too well. 6 of the 10 teams rank in the bottom half of rushing yards, and of the last 4 MVP winners, 3 have had their team be bottom 12 in rushing yards, of course taking out their individual rushing statistics. The other results show middle of the pack in both categories, some swaying to the top half and some swaying to the bottom. Again, Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton made a significant part of the run game. You might say, look at the last 2 MVPs. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen's team scored over 20 rushing touchdowns without them. They've had a top-tier scoring attack without them. You're right, but Baltimore had Gus Edwards run for 13 touchdowns, and Josh Allen last year had James Cook rushed for 16 rushing touchdowns. So, in Josh Allen's case, it's basically the offense is him and Cook. The Rams taking Stafford's rushing yards away, which is not a lot. They ranked 10th in rushing yards and 16th in rushing touchdowns. The Patriots, on the other hand, taking away Maye's stats, ranked 26th in rushing yards and 31st in rushing touchdowns. Here, the Patriots are much more reliable on Maye than their rush attack. The Rams have Kieran Williams, who is a 1,200-yard rusher, and on the Patriots, Maye is 3rd in rushing yards and touchdowns behind Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. Now, Pro Bowlers, this is another thing, for obvious reason. Maye is one of 3 Pro Bowlers on his team, while Stafford is one of 4. And unlike Drake Maye, he has fellow AP first team Puka Nacua, though Stafford is throwing him the passes. In fact, Maye is an AP second team, and there are no AP first teams on the Patriots. Well, there are 2 AP first teams on the Rams. Aside from Puka Nacua, can you guess who this other first team is? Yeah. The edge here is the defense is above average, but middle of the pack for the Rams. While the Patriots have a top 10 in 2 defensive categories. On the rushing attack, the Patriots are much less reliable, not even having a 1,000-yard rusher. Then there's the fact that the Rams have 4 Pro Bowlers and 2 first teams, while the Patriots only have 3 Pro Bowlers. I'll give Drake Maye the very slight edge at around 7.5, while Matthew Stafford is at 7. This is the first category he wins. Alright, this is more of an eye test. Who is the flashier QB? Lamar, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Cam Newton were both dual threat QBs who have approximately 20 to 35 minute highlight reels. Some have less than 20 minutes, and Josh Allen has a 47-minute highlight reel. Okay, this is just subjective. It's completely subjective. There is not really, we could put some stats into it. For example, Drake Maye runs around a lot, and it overall is a better escape artist, as New England's O-line is not really the best. I found 2 sources which said the Rams' offensive line, and one even saying it was the number 1 in the league. And objectively speaking, the Rams have a better O-line than the Patriots. As expected, Stafford has been pressured less, which also signifies that Maye is less reliant on his O-line than Stafford. Another thing is clutchness. How many game-winning drives? No one has more than my boy Caleb Williams. But Stafford has 1 go-ahead game-winning drive, while Drake Maye has 2. I'll give Maye the edge. Stafford is at 2.5 points, while Maye is around 3. Again, this is very subjective. It depends on what you think is pizzazz, what you think is flashiness, what excites you more. Even then, some of the greatest QBs in history have been boring. They haven't really made highlight-worthy or mixtape-level reels. Finally, record. Stafford lost the division to the Seahawks, though he went 12-5. Drake Maye won the AFC East with Josh Allen up his neck. Looking at the last 10 MVPs, all have won the division or have had at least 11 wins and a second seed or higher. Looking at the records, Maye gets a 4 out of 4. He's tied with Seattle and Denver for the best record in the league. And Matthew Stafford is at 12-5 and hasn't won the division, which we'll get to. So he gets 3 points. So adding this all up, we get the final scores. Stafford wins with 38 points, while Maye is at 34.5 points. So, again, while this grading isn't 100% perfect, Matthew Stafford is your 2025 NFL MVP. It's a very peculiar case, as Stafford missed out on a division title, which has happened before in the 21st century. AP won it in 2012 while the Vikings were 10-6. They barely snuck in with the 6th seed. Manning won in 2008 as the 5th seed. Steve McNair won a joint MVP in 2003, and Marshall Faulk in 2000. All did not win the division. It's uncommon, but has happened, and Stafford won 12 games in a stacked NFC West. Also, the Cardinals did not have Kyler Murray, so you have to take that into account. Not saying the Cardinals are a great team, but just throwing that out there. I didn't just take individual performances or team records. I took strength of schedule. I took into account the team around them. I cross-checked several stats from the past 10 MVPs. Using correlation, I was able to conclude who really should win the 2025 NFL MVP.